Using BMPload with the SLCD5 controller. BMPload is used to download bitmaps, macros, and fonts, and to create and load .bin files. In this video, you will learn how to use BMPload with the SLCD5 controller. The module is unpacked and connected to a COM port on the PC, as described in the Unpacking a Dev Kit video on reachtech.com/tutorials. The features in BMPload and the commands used in the macros in this video are described in our software reference manual, which is available on reachtech.com/downloads. Now we're going to look at some of the features in BMPload. In the lower left-hand corner, you'll see a list box that shows the list of all the BMP files that have been selected. Above that, you'll see buttons to add BMPs to the list, remove BMPs from the list, load a list of BMPs from a file, and save a list of BMPs to a file. Next to those buttons, you'll see buttons to add a macro file or add a font list. Each of these buttons brings up a file browser that you can use to select the file you want to load. In the upper left-hand corner, you'll see selections for your serial port. You can pick the COM port your SLCD is connected to and set the baud rate. Finally, in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see the Store into SLCD button. After you have all of your bitmaps, macros, and fonts selected, you click on Store into SLCD to download everything into your display module. The first thing you want to do when you start BMPload is to make sure your serial port settings are correct. On my system, COM1 is a terminal emulator connected to the display module, and COM3 is the port I use for BMPload. You also want to make sure your baud rate is set correctly. I use the default of 115.2 kbaud. Now we're going to download a macro file to the SLCD. You click the Add Macro File button, browse to the folder that has your macro files, click on the macro file, and click Open. Note that this macro file is provided in the zip file with this video. Click on the Store into SLCD button. When the download is complete, you can use the lsmac command to see all of the macros that have been downloaded. In this case, there's one macro, and it simply clears the screen and then writes a text message. You can run the macro with the M command. M1 will run macro 1, and you can see the text from the T command on the screen. Now we're going to download some bitmaps. Click on the Add BMP button, browse to the folder that has your bitmaps, select a bitmap, and click Open. Again, note that the bitmaps are included in the zip file with this video. If you click on one of the bitmaps, on the right-hand side you'll see selected information about the bitmap. If you want to add more than one bitmap, click on the Add BMP button, select your bitmaps, and select Open. Note in this case that the bitmaps are loaded out of order. That's because the Sort Files When Added or Loaded button was not checked. We'll check the checkbox, remove these bitmaps, re-add them, and you'll notice they're now in order. Click on the Store into SLCD button to download the bitmaps and macros to the display. After the download is complete, you can see the bitmaps that are downloaded with the lsbmp command. If you'll note that bitmap 1 is a full screen bitmap, and we'll draw that with the xi command. The syntax is xi, bitmap number, and coordinate. Since this is a full screen bitmap, we'll draw it at coordinate 0, 0. And you can see that on the screen now. You can also save this set of bitmaps to a file with the Save BMP List button. You click the button, browse to the folder where you want to save the file, and give it a file name, and it'll append .lst. Now you can load all of those bitmaps by clicking the Load BMP button. Again, you browse to the folder that has your bitmap list file, select the file, and click Open. All of the bitmaps are loaded in the same order that you specified. Now we're going to add a font. Click on the Add Font button, browse to the folder that contains your font file, and click on the Fonts list, and click Open. You will need to see the SLCD5 reference manual for details about the font list. Click Store into SLCD. Note that BMPload will download your macros, fonts, and bitmaps as a package, and that package will erase everything that's currently downloaded on the display module. So you need to make sure you specify everything that you want in one package. After the download is complete, you can see everything that's downloaded with the ls command. The macros are first, followed by the bitmaps, and then the last record are the fonts. You can see the list of fonts with the F question mark command. In this case, the last font is the font we just added, and its alias is CG22. That stands for Century Gothic 22 point. We'll rerun macro 1 with the current font, and you can see that on the screen now. We'll change fonts to the new one we just downloaded, and then run macro 1 again, and you can see that the new font is on the screen. The last thing we're going to show you is saving and loading from a bin file. Once you have all of your bitmaps, macros, and fonts selected, instead of downloading to the SLCD, you can save the information to a bin file. Click on Save to Bin. Browse to the folder where you want the bin file stored. Give it a name. We'll call it SLCD5, and then it'll append .bin. And then click Save. This can be used in a manufacturing environment where you want to download the same set of files every time. To load the bin file, you click on the Load from Bin File, browse to the folder that contains your bin file, select it, and click Open. You'll notice that there are no bitmaps, macro, or font file information because the information is in a binary format. At this point, if you click Store into SLCD, it will download the contents of the bin file to the display. You can find source files for these tutorials at www.reachtech.com/tutorials. If you have any questions, give our team a call at 503-675-6464 or send an email to techsupport@reachtech.com.